Ah.
Audio and power do not mix.
Well, you said that before, but I didn't realize that's what was going on. It's great now, right? Say something.
It is for me.
I can hear you now.
Okay. We're good.
I can hear both of
You can hear both of us?
you.
Okay.
Yeah. We're already rolling, too.
We are already rolling. So your little wave over there on the bottom, you see the little line squiggling. If we get into the red, that's when you know you're too loud.
We're all
Fair enough.
Yeah. So it's going to splatter on the first 4 minutes of the or seconds of the podcast here. We're rolling for 2.5 minutes. Are you going to leave the sound check on?
Maybe.
How many people did we lose? You put on a clinic a minute ago with the audio over power. I don't know if that stays in or not, or if anybody's mic even picked it up.
Maybe mine did.
Maybe. I don't know. You can catch it on the replay and see.
We'll play with it.
Yeah. So we were talking about hunting. So you got 4 deer this year,
Just 4.
and you got 2, both of your bucks. So people in other states, can we hear Coby? Is he good? Because I still can't. I said I could hear him, but I can't hear him.
Turn your volume up.
My volume's good. I can hear. I'm loud in my own ears, and you're loud.
Happened to the screen, too.
Yeah, the screen counter will come and go. Dang, I want to talk about this deer thing.
Do me a favor.
Yes.
Keep on talking.
Yeah, I can hear myself now.
I got you. Yeah. Yeah, he's way better now. I think we're
Okay.
good.
He's a quiet
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, he's not a loud dude. So I wanted to get on that deer thing because there are people who listen to this. I got friends I know in West Virginia and in Maine for sure who are going to listen, and they get 1 deer.
Yep.
That's it. That's all they get.
It's pretty unfortunate.
It really is. We get 12.
12 total.
12 total. We get 2 bucks. You didn't know?
No.
12 deer, man.
It's a lot.
We don't have like a state like Maine or West Virginia. Everybody hunts.
Yeah.
Everybody hunts. We don't have a ton of hunters here, but if you don't have hunters, you just have a bajillion deer, and then you
Right.
get a weak and sickly deer population.
And hopefully, too, if everybody shot their 12, insurance would go down a little bit more, but I doubt it.
Yeah, if everybody shot, that's work though, man. You're talking about 12 deer. Like, it's hard to get up one time and go out hunting.
Yeah.
Even if you don't get anything, you're out there and it's cold and you walked a mile and like
Yeah.
whatever and drove an hour and a half and
Even the neighbor, he got his 2 bucks, too. So
you're in a cool spot down there.
it's
though.
a pretty good spot.
It is a sweet spot. Now that you've got your 4, I got to get out there and
Yeah.
help you control that herd a little bit.
Come
I hadn't
sit
been
in my-
hunting. I hadn't been deer hunting. I don't know the last time I was deer hunting. It's been 4 or 5 years now.
Come sit in the shooting house.
Yeah, you got the Taj Mahal up there now.
I done spoiled myself this year.
Yeah.
It's a little bit warmer than sitting on the ground, but
Oh, there's not. I'm afraid of heights.
me too.
So like I don't do well in a stand.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't-
like a climbing stand. I'm fat. I don't need that.
I don't do heights anymore.
Yeah.
Not
but-
stationary heights.
So like I'm the concept of hunting on the ground I'm good with,
Yeah.
but it's so much harder.
It is.
That and being colorblind, like if the deer had to wear orange and level the playing field, I think I'd be in good shape. But man, I passed on a deer once because I saw it. I could see it with my eye. And then I went to scope it and I could see something. And I couldn't
Yeah.
tell if it was the back quarter or the front shoulder
Yeah.
or what. And I'm looking and I went back to my eye again and I couldn't figure out, so I didn't shoot it.
I can't either half the time. And then you'll hear a branch snap and there's another one staring at you. And it's like, where did y'all even come from?
Yeah. The only deer, I don't know, squirrel, ducks, rabbit, anything I've ever killed in the woods was after I'd given up.
Yep.
You're like, well, all right, I'm going home. And you start like, you get down out of the stand or you pack up your blind or whatever and you're on the trail on the way
Yeah.
back and you're like, oh, was that gate open or not? Can I shoot if the gate is shut? You know?
If you would have waited 5 more minutes,
Yeah.
it happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. But that's when you catch the biggest fish. Like, one more cast. Okay.
I catch my fish as soon as I get on my phone. I can sit there all day and not catch a fish.
Yeah.
And as soon as I get on my phone, that's when they start
The
biting.
time you ease up on
Yeah,
your grip
I
on the rod.
guess.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
They
They,
know.
they just know when you drop your guard.
Yeah.
And you're
yeah.
like, ah.
Well, it's
we
like-
got him.
When did I shoot that deer? Thursday or Friday? I had passed out up there in the shooting house, and I woke up. And there was probably 10 minutes of light left, and there's 2 deer out there. And Roman, my dog, he was sitting there shaking. He gets buck fever like you wouldn't believe. I got to hold him back so he doesn't jump out.
Yeah.
He's sitting there shaking. It's like, we got to wait because I've already named her. I see her every evening I go.
Yeah.
I talked to her during bow season. I was like, you're good. You can come out and eat
Yeah.
with her phone. And the mom ran off into the woods, and all I could see was a bigger body, and I was like, that's definitely a buck.
Yeah.
He came in there pretty aggressive, so I let the 223 smoke.
There you go. Which caused its own controversy, right?
It does. It is.
Can't believe the people that are like, you can't shoot a deer with a 223. And somebody
It
made
does.
the point on social media that they arm our military with 223.
Yep.
Like all those guys are shooting 5.56. It's the same thing. Like if you can shoot a dude with that, you can probably drop a, especially around here. Like our deer are not as heavy or as dense
Right.
as most people. You know, whatever.
It's
We're getting into some weeds now, but we're
yeah.
drawing a line between shooting people and deer.
It's pretty. I mean, yeah, it's pretty. The bone size of a deer is smaller than a human's. So you get something smoking at 3,000 feet a second, it's gonna put it down
Gonna do the job. Is that what a 5.56 does, or 223s?
around there. It depends, faster or slower, and then 250's faster.
Yeah.
220 Swift.
Never shot that round
It's a good one.
to 250.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is fantastic.
Just never had the occasion.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I
don't
got
know.
it in the truck.
Well, let's take it out back and shoot it. After
We got
get back on here.
targets.
I got a suppressor.
Let's go.
Is that okay? We just said that on the podcast. Can we have suppressors? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Bro, we sit here with a bulletproof helmet most of the
I
time.
mean, most of the time we do, but those aren't illegal. Like you don't require the.
They're trying to ban them. What do you mean?
Are they
you
really?
can't have body armor.
I got mine.
I got mine too.
But is your you got a suppressor? Like is that okay? Is that a
I got
thing
my
now?
tax stamp.
Okay, he's got his tax stamp. You
got
guys
my
heard that, right? Whew, and get us hauled out of here. Let me kicking the door down in a minute. The ATF coming in.
Ah,
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, yeah.
don't talk about that superstore like that.
Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. I went to that place.
Walmart?
It's in Cuthbert, Georgia.
That's
right
like-
there on stands.
When you're going up to North Georgia, they have a billboard that's like prescriptions and firearms.
Yeah.
So you can get your
Yeah.
prescription filled and
Yeah.
buy a gun.
Let's
I don't know
go.
what it is. That's been a thing. Like the pharmacy has been the place to go buy ammunition. I don't know why. But like up until recently, there was a place in Cartersville, a pharmacy. You can go buy bullets.
It's crazy.
Because I asked somebody, so when I moved to Cartersville, I was like, where do you go buy your ammo? And they were like, oh, it's so-and-so's pharmacy. I was like, what are you talking about? It's a thing.
The one that got me was Ace Hardware. I was like, what do you mean you're going to Ace Hardware to buy stuff?
Yeah. They got a pretty good bullet selection at Ace.
And then they got body armor too. You need it, Danny.
Body armor at Ace Hardware.
I haven't
Yeah.
been in there in a few months.
I hadn't been in that Ace Hardware at all, I guess.
You need to go.
This is the one out west.
Yeah.
The True Value, I guess, is what.
Yep.
Okay. I've never been in there.
Buy the Piggly Wiggly.
I'm going there tomorrow.
All stores should be like that.
They should.
Walmart
Everything.
is losing out on their whole deal.
I saw somebody the other day said you used to be able to buy lobster and ARs at Walmart, and now like you just can't.
Now
It's lame.
they don't even sell 223 ammunition. They sell 250, which is more powerful than
Yeah.
AR.
Right. But you don't see it in the news.
But the scary 223 and
Yeah.
556.
What was it? The Field and Stream stores, who are also, is it Dick's? Is
It
that
was
who owns?
Dick's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were like, we're not selling AR-15s anymore,
Yeah, they were one of the first
but
ones.
they would still sell the Mini 14.
Yeah.
You can buy it's the same gun. It just has a different handle.
Yeah.
So not a lot of principle there. They're just
It's just
bloviating. I
fodder.
think is the word. Yeah, ridiculousness.
What a bunch of wieners.
Right. It's the first time anybody's ever seen a wiener on this podcast.
But you said Diggs, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is the perfect joke.
It's a guy's name, Tango.
his name's Richard.
You're right. Wow, we're jumping the shark here. This is
Sorry,
12.
we had a president named Dick.
We did. Shrinky Dick Nixon. They elected him twice, and then he quit. So there was
Can
that.
you blame him?
No, I mean he was entertainment, man.
Yeah.
There were whole book. Hunter Thompson made a career following Richard Nixon. Wrote all kinds of crazy stuff about him, but apparently most of it was true. But you know,
I was watching a documentary about Winston Churchill on Netflix the other day, and that dude was awesome.
he was an incredible guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went into Africa like while they were fighting, and was walking around London when it was getting bombed. It's
Yeah.
like,
Just hanging out, doing
could you
Winston Churchill
imagine
stuff.
Joe Biden going to a freaking war zone? Like actually going, not having it set up?
Yeah. No, I couldn't, or really anybody else for that matter.
No.
Even what was it, Eisenhower, when they were storming the beach? He made them take the picture of him walking in like 10
Yeah.
times because he just didn't seem like he looked tough enough or whatever the deal was. But yeah, either be a man or don't. You know, stay home maybe if you're worried about how you're going to look in a war zone. I don't know. God bless them.
Those brass people, they're a little different.
You can say that now, right? Are you far enough out they can't call you back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Don't
what I-
care for you.
That's why I brought you on here. If I want you to flame the military, I'm just kidding. There may be some of that, but that's not the why. But it's
Pretty wild.
Yeah, I imagine so. How long were you in the service?
Just 3 years and 18 weeks. 2 duty stations. This is how ridiculous it is. At Fort Stewart, we were a light infantry battalion. I was in a heavy weapons company, so I was a 50 cal gunner. But they kicked almost everybody out because they switched to mechanized, which is like Bradleys and Strikers and not tanks, but fighting vehicles. And most of us wound up going to a mechanized unit anyways. So the Army wasted millions of dollars moving us
Let me help you out with this just a little bit.
and moving
There you
equipment to Fort Stewart, which was already mechanized during the invasion in 2003. And they decided to go back. And most of us, I mean, they could have just kept us there because most of us went to a mechanized unit afterward. It's like, why?
It's the government efficiency, right? That's how we do things. And
Efficiency.
so, holy smokes.
We were just talking about this. This is how you solve the problem. Throw more bodies at it.
Yeah,
the most
just-
efficient way.
Throw money at it, throw people at it. I guess the military is no different.
Yeah.
It's just
Bureaucrats.
resources,
Man. Bureaucrats.
It's, and then they can't find billions of dollars. The government can't.
Man, what did the Pentagon lost $1 trillion or something? Just lost it. We don't know where it is. Like I lose. I don't know. I don't lose now that I've got kids and bills to pay. Like I don't lose a quarter of my couch cushions anymore, much less $1 trillion.
Right.
So you know the cool thing, like not cool, but the crazy thing with the CIA. Somebody, I forgot what his name. He was talking about this, where there's a spot in the Pentagon for the CIA where operatives can go to a drawer, pull out just any amount of money they want, and disappear and go on mission.
It wouldn't surprise me.
This is a real thing. They're supposed to use the honor system and write down a note and say, "Hey, I took 50 grand."
The CIA
But
is such
Honor
a
system.
freaking
The CIA, that's how they operate. Here's this
crazy.
bank vault full of cash. Take whatever. Just leave a sticky note saying,
It's
"Hey."
craziness. The CIA is craziness. I've just heard stories. I have no experience.
Right, we
dealing
don't
with,
know
I don't
nothing.
want to have experience with them. I do not want any part of that.
That's crazy. Just cash, billions of dollars
It wouldn't
cash.
surprise me because I mean we have CIA people overseas all the time that nobody knows they're in the CIA.
Right.
So
Yeah, the Mike Bakers of the world.
I was gonna say, I'm kind of curious of what all Coby did while in the military.
Not
what
a
all
thing.
fun did you get into?
Fun. The first 2 years was fun at Stewart. A little
Where is Stewart?
Under
Which one's Stewart?
South Georgia.
South Georgia. Okay, like Valdosta.
Hinesville.
Okay, yeah. I should know that, I guess.
Across from Statesboro, across the interstate. And then there's also Hunter Army Airfield in Savannah.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking about.
But nothing really. Got to shoot some stuff. Got a missile dropped on my foot by a private.
What?
Freaking $70,000 missile dropped on my foot.
It's like a direct hit from a missile.
I just looked up at him. I was like, well, we're not dead, so can't be mad at you. But yeah, we had to go on this ammo detail and pull security for the missiles. And we unloaded it, and he dropped it right on my foot. I was like, God.
Dropped a missile. Nobody's ever dropped a missile on my foot.
That's a new one.
I went to a military
That's pretty
college,
sweet.
and that didn't. That's not relevant.
Pretty
at all.
sweet.
That is
Yeah.
a baller bar story.
I guess so.
My first interaction with was it my first? I think so. Well, I think it was my first, with like an actual, because we were at the range. So yeah, first interaction with a missile, I got it dropped on my foot.
So you guys are carrying this missile.
It's in a crate,
Okay.
a wooden crate, but it's still, I mean, you look at that wooden crate and it kind of looks like your
Like balsa
floor
wood.
trim.
Yeah.
It's like,
So why are you guys carrying this missile?
we had to put it inside the sea wire.
Okay.
And we had to wash it overnight. It was 19 degrees,
Ugh.
and they didn't tell us. They just said, you're going out. We're like, what? They're like, you got to pull security. Okay. So we didn't have everything we needed, and we roughed it out.
In 19 degrees. In South Georgia, it got that
Oh,
cold?
yeah.
It gets chilly, yeah.
It was freezing.
You just out there doing jumping jacks all night?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to stay warm?
Sleeping with men.
Oh, man. Did the missile, was it secured throughout the night? Or like?
Oh, yeah. Nobody stole it.
Everything turned out okay.
I thought about it. That'd be cool to have it on, you know.
Yeah, we could put it back here.
Yeah, it'd look great.
No, that's what gets the CIA in here.
Yeah, no, we don't have any missiles. We don't even have our ballistic helmet tonight.
We're not prepared.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we got to watch them shoot the TOW missiles, which is what Ukraine is using to bust Russia up right now. So those missiles that they're sitting on the tripods are, you know, that's what I got dropped on my foot.
Jeez, you've been hit with the same missile as the Russians.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't want to.
No, I'm not even part of that, man.
And the guy that got a shot at, he's dead now. He died right after he went to Alaska, and he got killed in an airborne accident. Or there was some controversy to it. I don't know if it was after the jump or what, but he nailed that tank target out there. That's probably one of the coolest things I've seen. Because it's got, I want to say it's got like a 2-stage motor in it, and it's wire guided. And so it launches out of the tube just enough and gets a certain distance away. Then that second one kicks in, and it goes
That's
for a while.
probably a cool thing to watch.
It is. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's gnarly.
You were a gunner, machine gunner, heavy gunner. What'd you call it?
50 cal gunner and
50 cal gunner.
a Mark 19 gunner.
What's the difference?
Mark 19 is a 40 millimeter grenade launcher.
I was going to say, that's the grenade launcher, Danny.
Yeah,
That's
well,
It is the grenade launcher.
Sometimes I ask a question for the sake of the audience.
We did a little dismount stuff because we were in Humvees.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of time with some machine guns, and that was fun. I enjoyed that. And Fort Hood, they threw me in the arms room, and that was... I would have rather been in prison than that last year I was in the military.
Oh, man. I've never heard anybody say, love my time at Fort Hood.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been there.
more deaths there than in Afghanistan the last year.
In the world? What in the world?
Garrison training deaths, murders, suicides. There's like 25 people died in a year at Fort Hood.
How many people are at a place like Fort Hood at one time?
That is the biggest installation in America.
Yeah.
I believe. So they have, I don't know if like acreage wise, but people wise, there's a ton of people there.
Yeah.
So obviously with higher numbers of troops, you're going to have more accidents, but you get 8 people offing themselves in a year. That's something wrong.
Well, there's something going on there anyway, right? I mean, with our military suicide rate.
Yeah.
And that's something we've talked about before, and we'll have a guy on Thursday, Lyle Morris, he's been on before,
Yeah.
and we kind of got into it some when he was a Marine. But there's something going on there.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's not, and it's not like, it's not limited to combat people. It's not like the combat guys are doing it, you know, exponentially more than the non-combat guys.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's pretty even all the way across the board. It's just somebody is going to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody.
So is it a higher rate of active duty people that are doing it?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked into the statistic recently, so
Yeah.
I don't want to talk too much on it. But
Yeah.
my buddy that did, he did it 2 or 3 years after he got out, and he was acting. He's on spin-offs of Yellowstone, and he just got tired and did it. So it's like you never expect. You just get the phone call.
Right.
And I still have to deal with it. I got out in 2019, and it's still something that, you know, I'll see on Facebook. Somebody, hey, what are you up to? Can you talk? Yeah. Just like, golly.
It just seems like it never ends, right? It's
Yeah, that's
even if it's in your own head, that never ends. What do they say? Only the dead see the end of the war, but it's not even. I don't know. For like I
well,
say,
now that we're getting into peacetime, and we have been for couple of years now, which that was a freaking joke. The withdrawal from Afghanistan was a joke. But yeah, like it. When people are bored, that's when stuff starts going wrong.
yeah.
So we have a military that's bored right now.
That's the problem, right? We got all these guys that are trained to do what the military is trained to do, and then you end up with nothing to do. That's tough. But there's got to be something, I don't know, and I've talked to a bunch of people about this over the years. There's got to be something that we're doing to our fighting men, and nobody really seems to be able to say, yeah, that's the thing that.
I don't think there is one. I think it's just one of the risks that you assume when you take the oath. I mean, because first responders, their suicide rates are high too.
Yeah.
It's just part of it, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. With first responders, it makes sense to me, and I don't know. That's just the best way to say that, I guess. But I feel like we're programmed as people to see a certain amount of death.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to watch our grandparents go and our parents and maybe even like older siblings. But if you're a first responder, if you're a firefighter and an EMT, you see it a lot.
Yeah.
And you see it. It's not always cut and dry. It's not always the 90-year-old lady.
And there was a nice young lady at a restaurant that I eat at. I was talking to her. She said she was thinking about being a police officer. I said, you know, that's bold of you and brave, but just got to understand that your innocence is going to be taken away from you.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
I said, because like you said, it's not always the 90-year-old lady. It's a child or your friend.
Right.
And it's like, you can't.
Well, you brought 2 bands with you in here tonight.
Yep.
These are guys that you served with.
It is. All 5 of them.
5 of them. You got more than one name per band, or man,
in 3 years. So it's like these guys going on these deployments, not going outside the wire, and then coming back acting like they're war heroes. That's why all this stuff going on, the special forces guys on the Navy side are getting so toxic about, which who cares? It's like we're all veterans. You don't have to. But a lot of guys, which we talked about this the other day, I'd much rather not go, which it wasn't by choice.
right?
I wanted to go. Obviously, that's why I signed
That's why
up.
you join, yeah.
But I would rather have not went than go and not get to do anything. Sit there on the fob all day. It's like pointless.
Yeah.
Not really pointless, but
Yeah, but at the same time, when you're 19 years old and you feel like that's why you sign up and you didn't get to go do that thing, you feel like it's pointless.
yeah. But it paid off, which there might be some guys that see this and disagree with me, but
Oh, I'm sure.
everybody disagrees with something.
Yeah. I don't know. There just seem to be lines, like I said, with the suicide rate, and there's not a difference in combat and non-combat. But then you look at like the way that guys talk about the military,
Yeah.
and the guys that are they do 2 or 3 enlistments or make a whole career out of it or whatever. They talk about it in a different way than a guy like yourself that got in. And I know a bunch of guys that did 1 enlistment, and like some of them won't even talk to you about it. Like they hated it, and it was the worst decision they ever made or whatever. But then we've had Keith Doucette on multiple times, and he like wouldn't trade his Army experience for anything. And I don't know what the difference is. And maybe it's
I think a lot of it has to do with timeline, because I joined right at the tail end of everything, pretty much. We almost got to go to South Sudan to help refugees into Europe. And Fort Stewart was kicked off the combat rotation because it had a suicide a few years back. And I mean, it was really just luck of the draw, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
I think only one friend that came in when I did that got a combat deployment. He wound up at Fort Drum when we left.
Yeah.
But hundreds of guys that, I joined with, which 2 of the guys in base that they went on to be Green Berets, so they're getting their fun.
Yeah.
They're getting to do.
Those guys get to go and do, yeah.
They are awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a different thing.
They were getting done with all the selection process like halfway through my 2nd year. And I'd forgotten about them. I'd opened Instagram up one day, and they were Green Berets. I was like, good job, guys.
Cool, yeah.
But I'm about to be out. But they get to go do all the cool stuff.
And we got to go. I went on a tour one time when I was working in public school. We got to go on an educator's tour of what's the one in South Jackson, South Carolina. And there was a guy that was there with us. There were some recruiters that went with us from all these different places. We all traveled into South Carolina. And the one guy was a lieutenant colonel, and he'd had a cool job, and he had worked at the Pentagon before that, and had, stuff on his uniform. And everywhere we went, people are like laying down in the mud so this guy can walk across their back, saying salute. I get they were saluting him. He was a lieutenant colonel. But I finally was like, what's the big deal? Like, what's his thing? And maybe I shouldn't have said his name. I don't know. But they were like, he's a Green Beret. I got a funny hat on, right? I'm colorblind. I don't know what color the guy's hat is. But they were like, he's a Green Beret. And everybody was like, get in line before me at the DFAC or whatever, And,
they're pretty special, obviously.
Yeah.
But that was always funny when they would come for recruiting to the units. You'd see the dudes that swore they were the baddest war fighters in the unit. They would go and hide from the Green Beret dudes that come in. It's like,
well, this dude I bet he was 5'6".
yeah,
and he probably weighed 160 pounds. But he had that look on his face.
oh yeah,
And you were just like, I would never in a million years try that dude. He's the one that taught me how to shoot the AR-15. So put that charge in it, close that stock all the way down. I had an adjustable stock. So close the stock all the way down, put that charging handle right here on the tip of your nose. He gave me that look right here on the tip of your nose. I was on the money after that. The guy with a funny hat told me how to shoot. Like, who am I to question that? So, God bless them. Different breed.
They are. They're. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's probably like comparing JV middle school football teams to the NFL.
That big a gap.
Yeah.
Not just like JV and varsity.
No.
Okay.
No. They get to do some work.
I guess their training's got to be better too.
Oh yeah.
More intense.
They go through all sorts of stuff. I could never ruck that far.
Oh,
I know people say it's all in your head after 12 miles.
Some of it's in your back though.
That's exactly. After that 12th mile,
Oh man.
I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But also too, I was 120 pounds myself. 120 to 140 pounds myself. And
yeah.
I probably should have waited.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that always stands out to me too, right? We asked these 18-year-old kids to make this life-changing decision. Do you want to join the Army and
When I
risk
came
your
from
life for your country?
Yeah.
You know, but they tell us at the same time our brain, our frontal cortex, the decision-making part of our brain is not fully formed until we're 25.
Right.
So
And that's
here's a
another
missile. Some kid from Kingston, Georgia. Like, good luck.
Don't drop it.
Yeah.
He was from New York, so win for Georgia on that one.
Yeah, we'll
but
blame him. Then it's
goofy. You
It
need
is,
some
man.
characters.
I
And that's
imagine
another
so.
thing too. Like especially the lieutenants, the new lieutenants that come in. It's bad.
Yeah. There's got to be something. I don't know. There's something to the training, right? And they kind of get to go to the front of the line on not.
Well, they
having
just
their
know
head in
that
the
they're
mud.
going to be in charge of, people as
Yeah.
soon as they get out, and they haven't even been to a unit. The cadets come in and kind of see how it.
I was gonna say, aren't like your lieutenants like your college guys who
Yes.
are leaving college and they've never served anything yet?
Yes.
And it's like, I got this pretty piece of paper that says I have a bachelor's degree.
Yep.
I'm now your boss.
And we were
Yeah.
at Fort Hood when they were integrating the women into the infantry. And we had a fresh lieutenant woman that came in there and thought she ruled the world. It's like, ma'am, I have more time in service than you.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you are wrong.
Well, that's tough. They go through basics still, right?
Yeah, they go through OCS.
Yeah.
But you catch an old E6 that's ready to retire on the wrong day,
Yeah.
he don't care about that brass
No,
at all.
he's not concerned.
And I got to catch the tail end of what was left of the old army.
Yeah.
And that was pleasant. That was the stuff I enjoyed. This new crap they got going on is insane.
It's a different world. I don't know. I don't have a frame of reference. Like I got to go. We spent several days on post there at Jackson, and we got to see various stages of we saw the red phase and the blue phase and I guess the white phase.
Which
and-
that's another thing too is that's a whole controversy because it never changed for us.
Yeah,
we got
that's the
smoked
same
every
thing.
day.
Well, we're looking at things. We had some vets with us, some older guys that had served, 20 years before or whatever, and we're looking at things like, you climb the big wall,
Yeah.
you scale over the top. Well, they got this big pad at the bottom
Yeah.
now in case you fall off, so you
Yeah.
don't die, right? And one of the guys is like, kinder, gentler army, huh? We're making a bunch of sissies out here. Or I was kind of like, well, maybe we just don't let people die in basic training, and they never get to actually serve their country. Maybe we're a smarter army, and maybe rather than a softer army, or maybe we're soft. I
I
don't
think
know.
we're soft. We're getting soft. Because a lot of the guys, even if they want to be in, like guys that I know that are great at doing their job,
Yeah,
way better soldiers than I ever would have been if I would have stayed in 20 years, they're phasing out. Their time is up. So they can stick around post and, have a job on post,
Right.
but as far as being in the units and having that everyday involvement, the most of the good guys are gone. I mean, I got pictures of my NCOs sleeping, like on a detail,
Yeah.
trying to supposed to be watching ammunition, and they're just, it's like, bro. And then they get kicked out for doing cocaine.
Oh,
5 of them, 5 or 6 of them.
but not that day because they were asleep, right? And they wouldn't have been had they been on the powder.
On the good old booger sugar.
They got
God
kicked
bless
out right after I ETS'd. So it was kind of nice, but I wish I would have been there to see it because a couple of them got demoted first. And so I would have outranked them, and that would have been fun.
That would have been tough. It's probably best that you weren't around for that.
Yeah, you're probably right, because it was very on the edge
Yeah.
before then. Very on the edge.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, man. You
I'm
got a question?
gonna hit you. No, I'm gonna hit you with some trivia real quick.
We got trivia.
Uh-oh.
We're bringing it back.
Okay.
I got 3 of them for today.
All right.
What is the average cost to train a soldier through basic and some of their MOS? Just the average. So this is taking all 4 main branches.
What do you call it? AIT,
Well, I don't know.
right?
Ours was 21 weeks. And now it's more than that. I want to say it's like 25 weeks now.
Basic and AIT?
Which ours, we didn't have to go anywhere. We stayed there the whole time.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was 21 weeks.
Okay. How much does it cost to send a soldier through, we'll say, 21 weeks?
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is.
Ooh.
I'm sure they told us.
3
I don't
meals
remember.
a day for 21 weeks, lights and water and uniforms and
No, we got to pay
you
for
pay
it.
for uniform. Yeah, my bad.
We got to
the
pay for
guys
those.
coming at me about that. I'm sorry.
We got to pay for those.
$100,000. Do you know?
I'm sure they told us. I don't remember what.
They probably did this far away from your
Yeah.
face. They're telling you how much money we're spending on
Yeah.
you.
Generally, depending on branch, it's about $58,000 per soldier, though.
And you get,
But it maxes out at like 80.
Yeah.
we had like 230 that started basic with us. And I think we got down to like 211. So that times 200 people.
211 people times 58,000 for that's one group at one post.
Yeah, at one
Holy
time.
Smokes.
Yeah.
That's one company
Meanwhile, you guys are
in
making
basic.
$1,400 a month or whatever it was.
$500 every 2 weeks.
Woo! Sound like my public school paycheck.
So, after basic and AIT, that 21 weeks, that cost increases. What is that new cost for one single soldier?
It depends, because a lot of times after they bus you or they fly you to your unit.
Yeah. So what's the time frame we're talking about now? So we've done
For a year.
okay for a
They
year.
spent a plane ticket for me to go from Atlanta to Savannah, which was a 30-minute flight, instead of my mom being able to take me.
5-hour drive. Like it's just not.
I live in Georgia.
Did you have to go to the airport?
Yeah.
So my rule is if I don't have to drive more than 8 hours, like I'll just drive.
Yeah.
It's not more than 8 hours because you drive to Atlanta and you got to be there. It's an hour drive and you get there 2 hours early.
We got up to altitude and came straight back down.
Right, yeah.
It's
Just
the biggest
like
waste of money.
Just an arch. You didn't even like level out. For a year to keep a guy in the army with stuff like that, it might be $1 million. Who knows?
There's no telling.
That's $100,000.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
I was gonna say, 'cause
$140,000 on average.
140,000. Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just
That's
keep one dude
crazy.
in the army. No wonder our taxes are so high. What are you guys doing with all the toilet paper? out there?
Daggone, Colby, you cost $140,000 a year.
That's why we can't get a sunburn. That makes sense now.
Well, it's also why they don't let you guys fall off the wall and break your neck when in basic. They're invested in you now.
Why you gotta have a cover all the time outside?
Holy smokes!
Can't get a sunburn.
Now, were you able to roll your sleeves up?
No.
Okay.
They approved it, and we got told we weren't doing that. In a very polite. That was very polite for
Yeah.
how we got told.
Yeah, it was like a thing at Jackson. They were dealing with it while we were there, and it
Yeah.
was like who can roll their sleeves up and who can't. and it came down to the pin pockets
Yeah.
that were in the uniform on the lower sleeve. And they're like, well, if you roll your sleeve up, you can't put a pin pocket. And we were there in June. It was 1,000,000 degrees. They were like, we don't care about our pins. If our pins burst into flames, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Let's roll our sleeves up.
we got told the heat cat.
Mm.
You're not rolling your sleeves up.
Just no.
You just die.
Ugh, that's tough.
Ugh.
What's
Well, I'll hit you with the third one later.
Go Army?
Benning's a little bit different than the rest of them.
Did you spend any time at Benning at all?
The whole for basic.
Yeah. Oh, you did your basic at Benning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sand Hill.
You.
Represent.
Woo. Sand Hill.
But yeah, it's quite the experience. It is quite the experience.
So how did the time comes, right? I don't know. Did you go to the recruiter? Or the recruiter come to you?
I did.
What was the lead up? What made you say I'm gonna go join the Army?
Watching freaking Saving Private Ryan as a 2-year-old. Very
That's tough.
I enjoy my aviation history and war history always ever since I was little.
So, did you watch Black Hawk Down before you joined or after?
I'm pretty sure. No, I watched that when I was probably. We got that on DVD still. So
And you didn't think, hey, I want to go be that guy who just got shot.
Oh man.
them Rangers are something else too. It's a pretty bad group of guys.
A couple of those guys live around here.
Oh yeah, there's a few of them. They get it done.
Yeah.
I ain't about to jump out of no airplane.
No.
Not happening. Sorry.
No.
I'd much rather be behind my machine gun than
Then
jump out of the
hanging
airplane.
in the air. Anywho, you got into the Army because you watched war movies growing up. Like, is that the gist?
Well, I mean, I'm sure y'all remember my age group. I got to catch the tail end of World War II veterans, and we had a bunch of them at our church, and we had ball turret gunners under B-17s and men that's been shot down over Germany.
Man.
Infantry guys. So
The ball turret gunner.
it is insane.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if that's like the toughest guy or the dumbest guy. Like,
It's
that's
insane.
It was crazy because that big bird was just up there in the air. And you could hope to shoot all them before they shot you, but otherwise you're a sitting duck.
Yeah. It's
God bless
crazy.
those guys, man.
It's insane. It's crazy that we've gotten to this point with those airplanes barely flew 400 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And they were sinking aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And meanwhile, you're in there in glass.
Just
You got
flying
this
over
gun.
Germany with 250 cals staring at the ground.
Those guys had a 50% mortality rate, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
It was 46%
But
died.
man, when you think about what a hero is, like you look at a ball turret
And
gunner.
that's another thing, too, is Afghan statistics are nowhere near what our previous death tolls were.
Yeah.
And that makes you wonder, too, why the suicide rates are so high. Because it's like, those Vietnam guys just lived with it. Our neighbor, my whole life. Everybody, I'm not going to say his name because he's got family around here, but he wasn't crazy. He was just, how do you live with that?
I don't know. I can't imagine. Cannot
I
imagine.
can't either. Walking through the jungle,
Yeah. And all of a sudden the jungle.
you're in the ground
Yeah.
and a spike is through your stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was a different kind of war.
Yeah.
We'd gone past the point of lining up in rows and shooting at each other. And
Which
then
is also insane.
that was crazy. And then we're in trench
we've gotten
warfare.
into guerrilla warfare
Yeah,
where
it's
it's
just-
now the trees are shooting at you.
And now
Right,
it's the
yeah.
drones. And that's terrifying.
That is terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying.
Scary.
The idea of getting accidentally killed by a drone, like just accidentally, collateral damage, whatever. That's terrifying because it seems like it's not a stretch to imagine that happening to somebody, or like maybe we just shot the wrong guy.
Yeah,
Like,
because
maybe-
now, these weirdos that we have here are seeing this happen
yeah,
and seeing how effective it is. Somebody could do that here
oh yeah,
on any given Saturday
Easily.
when people are downtown, and it's
Yeah.
like, and we're worried about magazine size.
Yeah, right. You don't need 30 bullets. Yeah, we do because they got drones. You know? Holy smoke! But does that even do us any good? We shoot at a drone 30 times.
I would be
you know?
using buckshot, but
Probably, yeah. It's they gotta get pretty close for that, though, right? I mean,
well,
I don't know. I guess buckshot
I guess
reaches out a little bit.
it depends. I mean, if
Yeah.
you hit a rotor on a drone with 30 caliber ball, it's probably going to knock it out of the sky.
Have you seen the video of the guy? I think it was a rake or a shovel, maybe. He threw it. They're out in this cornfield, and this drone's flying over, and he chucks this rake up into the rotor on the drone, and it crashes in the
out.
field. Yeah.
I
don't know if it's even real.
had somebody do that to me on a bicycle. You know who it is.
I'm sure
too.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I was coming down his driveway, and he grabbed a stick. I was on that bike.
Threw it directly in the
And-
spokes.
Got lucky, and I watched it make one revolution. And next thing I know, I was flying. The bike
Well,
stayed
you're
where it was
riding
at.
the bike, and you can see it happen. There's
Yep.
nothing you can do about it.
Just went flying.
Tell me who it is afterwards. I don't say his name on the air. But you sign up for the Army, and you're going to go and do
Great things.
Army stuff, right?
Great things.
So at what point, golly, I don't know. I don't want to just paint the military in a negative light, but like, at what point did you stop having a good experience?
Oh, when they threw me in the arms room.
Yeah.
When you started doing a job you hated.
Yeah.
I mean, is that what it amounted to? Just
pretty
something,
much.
something you didn't want to do?
They wouldn't put me in a platoon because I wouldn't promise that I was going to re-enlist. And I had just gotten there, and I was like, well, send me to the NCO board because I had gotten promoted early to
Yeah.
E4 all the way up. I got a waiver, an early waiver. So it wasn't like I was a crappy dude, you know. I might have slept in a couple times, but oops.
Yeah, apparently, so did your NCOs.
But they wouldn't send me to the board.
Hmm.
And it's like, when I first got there and I had an NCO, and he was like, start studying, we're going to send you. I said, okay. His time, he retires. We get new guys in. And once we got those new set of guys in, that was it. And somehow I pissed the first sergeant off. And that just did not go over well. My commander stole from me.
Ugh.
Like,
Who do you tell when your commander steals from you? Like, what do you do? I mean,
just suck it up.
yeah, you just got to eat it. Ugh.
Yep, stole some Oakley eye pro from me.
Ooh.
Ooh.
You had to pay for those.
We actually got lucky, and I don't think we were supposed to, but they gave it to us at Fort Stewart.
Oh, okay.
So it was
That's
a
still cool, though. Don't steal them from
well, it
me.
was
Don't
a
steal
nice
my
thing
free
to-
stuff.
Yeah.
It was a nice, especially when he can go up and afford it. you
Right,
know?
yeah.
You're a freaking captain. You can go buy your own eye pro. But he unlocked the arms room,
Yeah.
and I had my stuff in there. He's like, shouldn't have left it unattended. It's like, bro,
No, that's
you're
not
the
how that
only
works.
person that can come in here.
Can't steal things just because nobody's guarding it.
It's a love-hate relationship.
But that's why we pay you to sit here.
I guess, but I mean, I don't know. You can't be
And
there
that-
24 hours a day.
That kind of is what did it for me.
Yeah.
And then I was in there, and they'd have me in there. I don't know when the timeline was from when the rifle accident happened, but they had me in there I got to sleep 7 hours in a week. Like, they would not let me sleep, force me. They would send people in there. And it might have been after my car wreck. It was after one event that I had gotten hurt in. And I was like, I seriously feel like I'm about to die.
Golly.
I was
7
started
hours a week?
hallucinating.
Yeah.
And you have a backup, a secondary armor,
Yeah.
and they would not let us swap out. He'd come in there every once in a while, but they'd wind up telling him to leave. It's like, bro.
Man. So you were just
Come
on,
on.
you were not only not sleeping, you were on duty
Oh, yeah.
that whole time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like then they would, actually put me on like staff duty,
Yeah.
and another 24 hours. They let me sleep for a day,
Yeah.
staff duty. It's like, what have I done to y'all?
So this was before or after you mentioned the rifle accident?
Yeah, I'm not sure when it was.
Yeah. Is the rifle accident something you can talk about?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's helping pay for that truck out there.
Sure
Sure is.
So what is the
So-
rifle accident?
I don't know if somebody hit me. If you did, thank you, because you're paying for my truck.
Oh man.
I wound up having a fully decked out M4 hit me right in between the C1 and C2.
Oh.
And I was leaned forward, and it stood me straight up, hit my back, laying there on the floor, drooling on myself.
Wow.
And the guy, the NCO that was in there with me, was like, "What happened?" So,
I don't know.
you tell me what happened.
Holy smokes.
So I don't know if he hit me with it or it fell, but I got hit with it.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I was severely concussed for a week. My pupils wouldn't dilate. They wouldn't let me go to the hospital.
Would not let you go to the hospital.
My first sergeant said I was lying. And so him and the medic almost got in a fight because he was like, you can go talk to my leadership. He has to go to the hospital. You can't
Yeah.
deny him. Because it had been a week and I was still messed up. And they didn't give me a CT scan or MRI. They gave me an x-ray on my neck and said I was cleared for duty.
I mean, they could tell you whether or not your neck's broken, but that
Right.
they're not going to see brain damage
Right.
on an X-ray.
So
yeah, no.
from there started that I was lying. Once I got back to the unit, he started yelling. It's like, I knew you were faking it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, the doc just told you my pupils weren't dilating. I'm not faking that.
Yeah. Can you
think-
fake that? Could you decide not to dilate your pupil? That's
I don't
silly.
know. I have no idea. But yeah, me and some NCOs had some words a few times after that. Because by then it was like, okay, life or death. You
Yeah.
know? Like, that's how I was feeling. I was like, I got a few months left. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was biting the tongue. And that's what really got to me, like when I was getting out, on top of friends dying, was just not being able to say anything.
Yeah.
And it disconnected something in my brain, and it was not a good time. And then COVID started
So
the same year.
how long was that time period between your injury and when you knew you were going to get out?
I think I'd already decided by then, just because how they were doing the whole company. There was a few good NCOs in there, but it didn't outweigh the bull crap. So I was like, no, I'm not putting up with this. So get out. I got out March 22nd of 2019. I don't know exactly when COVID started, but it wasn't long.
Be 8 months or so after that, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Toward the end of the year.
So, yeah, that's right, because I lived in Texas a year after I got out. And so, 20. So, yeah.
So everything shut down in March of 20, about almost exactly a year later.
And
But
so,
it had started kind of welling up a few months even
Right.
before that.
well, Texas was pretty much all shut down. Driving to work was nice
Yeah, I bet.
on the interstate.
Yeah, nobody out.
So they laid me off because me and my ex were supposed to move back here. And so I was like, that's fine. That's completely understandable. I would want you to lay me off because our release is about to be up.
Right.
I'm about to move back to Georgia. Completely understandable. So move back, start working at VTI. She stays. She still has both of my dogs.
Oh no.
I had to deal with an uncle dying in that time frame. And then my stepdad's dad died from COVID that year. So that whole, even if I was struggling with transitioning out, I don't think my brain could compute everything that was going on at that time. So it just made it pretty much unbearable. I mean, I was skinny as crap. Couldn't get out of bed. On top of, I was working 80 hours a week over there at night. So I'd go in at 4:30 in the afternoon and leave at 3 or 5 in the morning.
Ooh.
So I would have Sunday
Yeah.
as my only day. So like dealing with the traumas that were happening and then trying to make it work was something wild.
That's a lot all at once, right?
And then it kept getting worse.
Man. Snowballs, right? When it rains, it pours.
And then last year, was it last year you baptized me?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, sure.
It's been
enough.
getting better since then. Things have started working out.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
When you,
Because, I mean, I pretty much talked to you a lot
Yeah.
that whole time. You've been one of the only people that's really been there since I've gotten out. So I appreciate that a lot.
I just want to say I didn't bring Coby on here to brag on me. That's not what this was.
Appreciate it a lot.
Man,
It's
it's
crazy.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Just the whole COVID situation was crazy.
Yeah.
Like kids having to graduate in their cars.
Oh, that was
driving
so
through.
stupid.
Like what kind of
So
psychological crap is that going to do to a new teenager getting out into the world?
And you get everybody's like, hey, post your senior picture in honor of the, like, don't do that. Like, I didn't get to graduate. I don't want to see your senior picture, you know? Like, I mean, I was
Madness.
working with our baseball team at the time, and, like, we had a game. You know, we'd played a couple of games, and then they were like, hey, the school year's over. And these guys were like, hey, I'm working on a scholarship here. And, like, you just kind of yanked the rug out from under me. And, you know, and academics all worked out because apparently everybody just passed and it didn't matter. But like, there were so many things that were just weird. And you coming out of the military at the same time into a job that you lost because the world shut down.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Dumbest time maybe in history. As advanced as we're supposed to be, we all just went moron during that time.
And still, I still see people walking around with face masks on.
I see those people, man, and I think, I bet they've got some condition that requires them to wear a mask. That's what I hope, man.
My favorite is the ones who ride in their cars alone with masks.
I saw a lady the other day, bless her.
I'm like, this is the best ever. This is
alone in your car. Like, I can't.
You know what? The same bureaucrats that run this country are the same ones that ran that military. So, I mean,
Case in point, right?
That transition out wasn't much better because it was still government-run America.
And that's,
man.
There was so much going on, too, because all the riots and police stuff going on.
Nobody got sick at the riots, though. They didn't transmit any COVID.
No, they didn't. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, like the amount of stuff that the government can get away with at the lowest level of the government is insane.
Yeah. So they had a city commission meeting. I guess the county did too. We have separate city and county commissions here. They had meetings, and they were streamed live on Facebook, and they were kind of like, hey, you can't go to work tomorrow. What? My rent's due. Yeah. By this point, it was probably the 15th of March, 16th of March, just a few days into the shutdown, maybe even before that. But they were like, yeah, these types of businesses have to close, and these can stay open, but only under these circumstances.
Yep. And then forcing people to get a freaking vaccine to hold their jobs is madness.
Well, that happened in the military. That was a big deal. They just had to let a bunch of folks back in.
I know guys that got out. I don't blame them because...
No, I don't either. I knew a guy that had been in the Marines and then, finished his enlistment or whatever and got out, spent a couple years out and was like, well, this ain't the life for me. Went to the Army And then he quit because they were like, "You got to get this shot," and he was like, "No, I don't. I don't
And
get this
how
shot."
do you explain that to the futures? Like, I got kicked out of the military because I didn't take a vaccine,
Yeah,
a random vaccine.
yeah, just some untested. Yeah, no, just take the shot, it'll be fine. And it turned out it didn't work anyway. Man, I still hope we're still small enough that YouTube.
Sorry, YouTube guidelines.
God
Oh,
bless
well.
them. They don't know we're here yet. I think we'll be okay.
Colby gets banned on everything.
Hey,
This is how we get banned. I love it.
there was a time that the total amount of time that I was banned on Facebook was over a year.
You had an entirely separate burner account. I've got one now because I was like, well, that's a pretty good idea because I got to run the socials for this and whatever. So I was like, I need to be on there. So I was like, I'll make myself a burner. But it's so stupid.
everything.
My burner account is just my name too.
Yeah.
It's my first and middle name rather than my first and last name.
And it's all linked
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. And it's my face. It's a picture of me on there.
Well, the thing is that they got caught censoring the American people during that time, and nothing got done about it.
Yeah. Well, they censored people. They suppressed information like the Hunter Biden laptop thing.
And people still refuse to believe it.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Zuckerberg he wants to meet with Trump and be on, MAGA now and all that good stuff. And we didn't forget about you, Zuckerberg.
We're never forgetting
No.
how dirty you did us.
Oh man.
That's what's been interesting about the healthcare CEO.
That's insane, right?
I mean,
Just careful.
yeah,
yeah. We can't. Don't touch that third rail yet.
it's pretty.
It's polarizing and it's two sides.
It's the American way.
It seems to be, right?
If you go back in history,
We solve it with violence.
yeah, and
Yeah.
millions of people have forgotten why we're even a country.
Yeah.
So it's mind blowing, and that's why I can't even talk to people. People are like, "Oh, you're crazy," because I'm educated.
Well, if you look at that and you look at how our country was founded and the way that it was founded,
We drop bodies over tea.
yeah, over like a 4% tax. Like it was nothing. Now we're taxed at, 30, 40%, whatever it is. But the Revolutionary War was also fought, and kind of goes back to the COVID thing. The war was fought during a smallpox epidemic. People were dying of smallpox, and they're like, well, we got to fight this war.
Well, they were also chopping limbs off with saws and no anesthesia.
It was a different breed. It was a different kind of people.
Yeah, they shot a bunch of people because of a snowball.
Yeah.
And then we went to war with them.
Yeah, went ahead and started a war with a snowball.
Got to do it sometimes.
I mean, it seems that way. And I don't know. I look now and I think maybe we're more civilized and we're better than that. And we don't
not.
just shoot somebody. We're apparently
We're not. Look
We're
what
not.
happens when people run out of toilet paper.
Oh, man, that got crazy,
Imagine
right?
food.
Well, I mean, we saw some of that on a really small scale during like the hurricane, Helena, when it went through North Carolina in a place like Asheville.
People up there robbing people.
And people got really desperate in a day or two. A day or two in one town. And it wasn't like
And that's
national shutdown.
most people don't even think that way.
Yeah.
And that's why I stay at home a lot, because I go out and see people there's no self-awareness in the general population.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tying back into that's why you should go to mypatriotsupply.com and get you some emergency food.
We're not sponsored by
We are not.
but we gladly would be.
But sometimes it rains.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a storm. And that kind of comes in handy.
Yeah. So we'll say a company like My Patriot Supply.
If I could pitch in a good man that loves to teach these things,
Do it.
Edgar Mills, Osprey Shooting Solutions in Rome, Georgia, teaches classes, firearms, everyday carry, situational awareness, and he's awesome. Green Beret.
He is a guy. I've never had the pleasure of meeting Edgar. We have the same barber, and apparently we've missed each other like just a couple times. Oh,
He
Edgar
met
was just
me
in here.
At the Armurchie Wendy's. I was sitting there a few years ago. I was mad about something. He came up and gave me his card, shook my hand. So he knows what he's doing. So
How did he identify you? Do you have like an army shirt on? Or oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, some
Yeah. You have
recognizable
some
ink.
markings. Yeah.
But yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Osprey Shooting Solutions. We've talked about getting Edgar on. I don't know Edgar, but we gotta make that happen. Maybe he'll listen to this when he just started a podcast. He's got the Junto podcast. Yep. Solid stuff.
Yep. He's a extremely smart individual.
Yeah, he seems like it. He seems like a sharp dude.
So Colby, life outside of the military after COVID, how's that been going?
It's madness.
Yeah,
That's the easiest.
you gotta give some highlights, man.
Because it's like, and that's something I've been trying to work on is what my triggers are. But it only happens when it happens. So it's like, I did not know that was going to trigger me the way it did, but it did. And it's led to some problems that have been worked on.
Yeah.
And worked out.
Yeah. Well, it's a process, right?
Yeah. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
Because it's already been, I suck at math, 6 years?
Yeah, you've been out 6 years.
So,
or close to it at least. But it's evident though that you're trying.
Yeah.
And I can tell.
I mean, you got to.
The conversations that we have, and you'll say, "Well, so and so happened, such and such," and there's regret. And it's not like I'd do it again tomorrow if I had the chance, you know. And
some situations, maybe.
Sometimes
I got water poured down my back the other Wednesday for no reason,
so
and I handled that better than I would have 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was a win for me. But
water poured down
Grace,
his back.
man.
It's
He
tough.
handled it with grace.
while I was eating,
Tough in the dating scene
That
these
is
days.
one thing, and I don't know if that's just from like growing up, but don't touch my food, or me while I'm eating.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a dog in that way, right? Like, leave me alone while I'm eating.
I don't know if it's primal or what, but I sure did. Luckily, it wasn't hot water poured down my back Wednesday evening.
Dude, I've stabbed somebody with a fork over that. Like, straight up. There is an individual we know who has 4 marks in the top of their hand where I slammed a fork in.
Exactly. Like, it's
And I
got
was
to be
like,
primal.
no, we're cutting this out.
It's got to be primal.
Wow.
But like little stuff like that, might have cussed a few people out at an eating establishment for how they were treating the workers.
Mm.
But, that's fair.
But you're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you tell us like some of the things that are helping you work through this? Like, so
I stopped drinking for the most part.
That's a win. Dude.
I had a mess up this weekend and ingested more than most people probably could.
Yeah.
But I started going back to the gym. Told Danny I was gonna start jiu-jitsu one of these days, and I started jiu-jitsu. So that's been. You get tired enough, you don't want to. Idle hands are a problem.
Yeah.
For anybody.
Yeah.
And I've started my business this year. So it's been a busy year.
What's your
and it's been a
business
good
called?
year. Big Cedar Removal.
What does Big Cedar Removal do?
Bring you gravel, dirt, take away junk, trees, whatever. I don't like trees, but I will. Not very big trees. I'm not a tree service, but I will take away trees.
Yeah. Back in the summer, you dug up my gray water tank in my backyard for me and buried a new field line. So, like, all kinds of stuff. Big Cedar Removal on Facebook.
And it ain't broke yet.
It hadn't. It's holding up.
We broke it while we were in there.
We did break it while we were doing it. I drove my truck across it the other day, though, so it's good to go.
We're good.
Kind of forgot about it. I was like, wait a minute.
Oops.
Yeah.
And then the same time, I guess I just overthink way too much. I had to realize that I'm 27, and these guys that I'm wanting to compete with have been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
So you can't compete with that.
Right.
But in your mind, it's like, I got to do better.
You feel like you should have 10 trucks and a bulldozer. And yeah. Not yet.
So, no, and these guys are 40, 50 years old.
Yeah. Been at it for a long time.
So,
but it's
patience.
got to be, well, it's patience and it's growing. It's the work of your own hand is a big deal.
And I don't mind doing it.
Yeah. But to see like what you've started and watch it grow, and you know you had a lawnmower and a rusty trailer and a beat up old truck, and that's kind of how you started this thing. And now you've got a shiny new truck and a bigger, better trailer, and
it's been. I mean, it was a dream last year, so it's starting to happen. So that's the biggest problem with most people is most people are too afraid to make the initial jump into doing something, and it holds them back. Yeah, you know, for life.
I had the idea to start a podcast for 2 years before I finally hit record on one. And this is not like make or break financial situation here. Like, we're not getting rich podcasting, and it's not hurting my family. So like whatever, but it was still like, it was something I always wanted to do. And it took me 2 years to do it. Yeah. You know, and we've been at it for 6 years now, but
once you do it, you're like, why didn't I do this sooner?
And you don't want to do anything else. Like this, but making that jump for a lot of people is
hard.
It's really tough, but you did it.
Yeah.
Man. So I want to mark this day and we'll come back. What are your goals for next year?
More clients, for sure.
Like for your life in general, not just the work, but like you want to build up the big Cedar Removal. What else are we trying? Because you're a freaking go-getter, dude. You're a monster, and
I don't know, really. I hadn't thought about it yet.
Well, let's see, how long you been training jiu-jitsu?
A month.
How long did it take me? How often do you train?
2 days a week.
Okay.
I got my first tap last week.
I heard about it. That's not the kind of thing we talk about on a podcast, Coby. That's not a... As long as we don't say his name, I guess.
No, I ain't. He tapped me way more than once, but I just got my first one out of the way is all I'm trying to say on that. So that was a good morale boost.
Did it come as a surprise to you? Like, oh, he's tapping. I got to let go.
No. I mean, I've choked people out before.
Yeah.
So
I just remember
nothing
the first
really
time,
new. But it was
the first time I submitted somebody, I was like, oh, that was for me. Like, he was tapping me. Okay.
It was more of a, okay, that was my first milestone, obviously, is to get a tap.
Yeah.
As it is everybody's. Everybody's going to be.
So, well, I went down that line because I'm thinking blue belt, but a year might be short for a blue belt.
2 days a week. Yeah, definitely.
You might get there. You might get to a blue belt. You'll pick up a couple stripes.
Hopefully so.
Yeah.
Which I'm not really in a rush for it. You know, like, it's more of it definitely helps with the extra aggression and testosterone throughout the day.
Yeah.
So it's more of I'm trying to get my mobility back.
Yeah.
Is the biggest thing. So I'm not trying to win no championships obviously, if it happens, it happens.
Right.
I get a medal, that'll be cool.
Yeah, that's fun.
But it's more of a spiritual journey than it is anything else. So I'm not really too worried about it. But I'm not going to just, fiddle fart around when I go.
You're hooked now, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's good.
Yeah. What about you said a spiritual journey. What about the spiritual end of things? We talked about you getting baptized last year, and how's that end of things?
It's still been a battle.
Yeah.
I still have my days where one shoulder saying one thing, the other saying the other, but that you just got to be determined.
Yeah.
Stay determined.
Yeah. Well, it's a decision. Like church and my religion and all that. It's just who I am these days. But on Sunday mornings, I've still got to make the decision to get out of bed and go to church and do the things that I know I'm supposed to do. So that's going to always be there on some level. It's always going to be easier to stay in the bed. Right.
Even with any, like you said, deer hunting. You know, it's hard to go one morning of a month, especially if it's 20 degrees outside. You want to stay in the bed. And I got my dog I cuddle with, and it's like, he only loves on me in the mornings. Yeah. From about 4 to 6 a.m., he's a snuggle
Let's talk about
bug.
this dog.
I should have brought him.
You, holy smokes. Yeah. So
He'd hang out with two upstairs
you
pretty
got
well.
This dog, what does Roman weigh? 200 pounds?
He's only 160.
Only 160. It's the biggest Great Dane. He's gigantic.
Oh, I need
The
this dog.
Biggest dog.
He's a sweet boy.
He is.
He loves deer hunting. He's jumped out of the truck going down the road seeing a deer. Hates
He's
raccoons.
bigger than most deer we have around here.
Hates possums. Loves cats.
Yeah. It's funny how he like mingles with your smaller dogs and the cat, and he's just a big old puppy. He's your snuggle buddy in the morning, though. That's wild. But he's something else. Shout out Roman. You'll never watch this, but that's cool.
Yeah, we'll get a picture of him or something.
Yeah.
He ate a whole pack of bottle rockets when he was about a year old.
Ate a pack of bottle rockets.
It's like, you get a pack and they're
with
facing
the little
both
12
ways
of them.
because there's like a ton of them in there.
Yeah.
The whole pack. That was the worst.
He hadn't slowed down since. He's just wide
Dog
open.
crap I've ever seen in my life.
I can't imagine.
You probably could have lit it on fire. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, do you digest? What is it? It's not gunpowder. Maybe it is.
It's
I don't know.
some type of propellant.
Go Roman.
Oh,
The
man.
bottle rocket dog. He's a wild man. I love him though, man. I'm not like, I struggle with these big dogs
Yeah, you do.
because they want to play with Tango's dogs. We have this love-hate thing. I love Sapphire's great. It's Ranger that we're still acclimating. I think he's playing, but he's gigantic and it's rough.
I'm sorry, he's a great burner.
I know.
Yeah.
He's wide open, man.
I mean, that's just life with big dogs.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you have to wear a cup when you walk in the house with Roman because his tail.
Right. Oh, his tail. This dog's tail, man. It's like that mic stand, and it's just whipping.
And it's a perfect height. It
Yeah.
is waist high.
And he'll get you 3 times before you've even realized what's happening.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
this is that life I live with a dog that size.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you sign up for.
Roman's cool. He jumped in the river with us when we were baptized. He was just in there
He said,
splashing
"Not
around.
dad."
He's in there doing the backstroke.
What are you doing?
You're drowning my dad.
Like, bro, it is freezing. Get out of the water.
Yeah. Oh, man.
love it.
Yeah.
To cap the night off, I got one more.
Are you
piece of
wrapping
trivia.
us up right now? Are you done?
Oh, man, I just wanted to. We're on a topic, and
All right.
it is ties in.
Bring it.
So, what is this?
Oh,
is
we're
gonna
back
tie
to
back
trivia
in.
now, okay.
Yeah. What is the number one state with the largest deer population?
Largest
I
deer
saw it the
population.
other day.
Bonus points if you can tell me the number.
The number of deer?
Yes.
What's the
saw it
state
the
with the
other
biggest
day.
deer population? But we've come
What
full
was
circle in
it?
this moment.
I
I
literally saw it 2 days ago.
have no idea. Anything I say is going to be a guess. I'm going to say Nebraska.
Was it? Was it Southern State?
It is a southern
Oh,
state.
okay, yeah.
Nebraska is not it.
Okay, not Nebraska.
Nebraska is not even in the top 10, by the way.
Thanks, Tango.
Was it Mississippi?
It is not. It is actually Texas with 5 million plus white-tailed deer. The following two are Alabama and Georgia with 1.8 and 1.3 million.
Which is why we get 12 deer a year.
Because we have a 1.3 million
Texas
population.
has a ton of deer, but they also have a ton of deer, but they also have a lot of deer farms as well. So
Yeah.
I wonder if that goes into
that is
population.
included into that population.
Well, I
but
was
they also
looking at Texas deer the other day, though, and they've got, like, we were talking about whitetail, but they've also got axis deer, and they've got some coos down in the south
have-
end. And
they got zebras and tigers.
Yes.
God, right, yeah.
It's Africa.
Texas is off the chain.
We went to a shooting range when we were living, it was when we were living just north of Austin. And, where was it? Was it Leander, maybe? I don't know. But they had an exotic game range right across the road from the shooting range. And it's like, how mad would they be if I turned around and shot across the road?
Popped a zebra.
They had African game across the road, and I was like, "What is that?"
It's
And
Texas, man.
big old horns,
That's
huge.
wild.
I don't know what they're called.
They got some pronghorns or
I would never.
antelope or whatever.
Those giant mule deer out in Arizona. God.
Ooh.
That's another
Anywho.
thing too. Is Roman doesn't know what to think about an elk because I guess the sheer size.
Yeah.
But he hates black bears with a passion.
He's bigger than most of our black bears around here.
Yeah. He ran that one off. I said, go
Yeah.
get him out of the car. They were like, what? No. I said, go get him.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
He was.
Our bears
Tore
around here are
up.
just big raccoons anyway.
Yeah.
God bless them. Well, man, I guess we'll wrap it up.
We might need to hit a part 2 one of these days.
We will. We'll do it. We'll bring it back and we'll see
God, we didn't.
when you've got 10,000 customers
That
and your purple belt and all kinds of fun
Maybe.
stuff.
I think we got to talk on Big Cedar Creek next time.
We can do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We can talk about. I've been hit by a car before.
There's stories to be told.
There is a
Always
ton of stories.
Kobe's had one of those lives, man, that
People think
Kobe's got one of my lives too.
yeah.
they think we're lying, and it's like I don't even remember half of the stories. Other people will tell me, and I'm like, that did not happen. They're like, yes,
Oh yeah,
it did.
it did. It happened.
Oh no.
Well, man, we'll dig into some of that next time. Thanks for coming on. It was
Thanks.
short notice. I called you like last night or texted you last
Thanks
night. And was
for
like, hey,
having
what
me.
are you doing tomorrow? But yeah, we'll jump off there. It's
I'm
been
about to-
fun, man.
About to go to the gym, I guess.
It's about that time. I'm going
Get
to
some deadlifts in.
do another episode after this, but we'll jump off right there. God bless you guys. We love you. See you next time.